So welcome everyone, je vous souhaite bienvenue. We're pleased to let you know today about an exciting project that results from collaboration between the Peace Grantmakers Network and Concordia's Department of Educational Technology. So through SHARE, which stands for Social Harmony Advancement Through Research and Education, this great technology challenge is a contest. It's a call to all students and professionals who work or study in educational technology to give back to the community by using their knowledge and especially their talents to develop materials that will help our society to become less violent, more harmonious, more emotionally intelligent, and all of that in keeping with the goals and mandate of the Peace Grantmakers Network. The Peace Grantmakers Network, incidentally, is a group of philanthropic foundations, individual donors, and partners who work collaboratively in support of applied peace efforts. We work closely with NGOs in the domain of applied peace, filling gaps where we see that a need has not been met, and all this in an effort to make peace an area of philanthropy that's better defined, more practically oriented, and more widely recognized as a basis for giving. We're so pleased to be developing an increasingly close relationship with Concordia University. Its dynamic and innovative president, Alan Shepard, has been enthusiastic and supportive of our network's endeavors since he and I first met, which was shortly before he started his mandate at the helm of Concordia. It was recently confirmed that our forthcoming symposium, Research Meets Practice, Effective Tools to Prevent Bullying, will be taking place here at Concordia on November 10th. But today we're here to talk about our other project with the university, one that also works to prevent bullying, but it uses a different and rather unique angle. So it's now my pleasure to ask Claude Martel from Concordia's Educational Technology Department and the dynamic catalyst for this project to take the microphone and further explain what we are working on developing together.
Thank you, Brian. This all started about a few months ago when Brian came to Concordia for the alumni events and inspired us to get involved. And it was really fascinating because everybody said, oh, we want to get involved and things like that. And often we get involved with money and things like that. And at that time we had a discussion and we found out something interesting. We have the most fascinating pool of talent in Canada. In EdTech of Concordia, of course, we have plenty of talented students there, but all over Montreal, all over Quebec, and all over Canada. And he said, it would be so amazing if we could tap in that pool of talent for them to get involved. And that's what started the Great Educational Technology Challenge. The challenge is all about asking these talented Canadian, and by the way, we've started and we already have call now from Mexico and the United States that want to participate. So casting a wide net of talent to help a cause. And this is one thing we're going to try to do every single year. Every year we're going to get a cause. With the grant, we're going to work closely with the Grant Network Peacemaker to really find a cause that's going to make people excited. Bullying, I've heard people already, they say we want to create something for that. And we're going to create this contest to make sure that all the talent can get involved in this cause. So it's not the Ice Bucket Challenge, it is something completely different. We find a cause and we ask for your talent. So that's a little bit what the Great Educational Technology Challenge also. So it is open to French, English. Now we're probably going to open it to Spanish also. And the aim is to create a pool of resources that school can use. So have students use their creativity and share this creativity so it can be used in school. And it's a contest. Of course, people will win the contest, you'll have bragging rights. You can also say that your material has been developed and used in school all over Canada. So that's the essence of it. I will stop here because we'll talk back about the process and things like that a little bit later. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Tara Wilkie that will talk to you a little bit about the context of that situation.
So it's my job to help you make sense of all of this. So I'll just give you a little bit of Canadian context. Right now in Canada, the statistics are telling us that 12% of boys and 13% and 6% of girls are reporting being severely victimized at school, and 15% of boys and 13% of girls are bullying severely others. So right now we've got some high statistics that we need to deal with, helping these students figure out how to cope better. We have hundreds of well-meaning, well-intentioned programs being developed and being marketed to schools in order to help solve the problem. However, they are actually creating a big problem, because 11% of the programs that are being used in schools are actually creating more of a problem than solving one. They're doing damage, no good. Then we know that another 20% of those programs that are also well-meaning are actually having no effect whatsoever. And only 8% of those programs are actually based in any evidence, no scientific evidence, so only 8%. So we have a really big problem that we need to deal with. So what we know is that in order to effectively deal with bullying, we need to promote healthy relationships. So how do we promote healthy relationships to prevent bullying? Well, many of the schools, again, are trying to implement these programs, and they also have created their code of conduct. So every school has a series of codes of conduct which they're trying to use to teach, to create harmonious learning environments in their schools. The problem is that these code of conducts seem obvious. So if you take, for example, I'm agreeing, you sign, I speak to everyone in a respectful manner. So speaking to everyone in a respectful manner makes a lot of sense, seems sort of simple, not a big problem. And yet, when you walk into a classroom and you're teaching a class, you often will see, it doesn't matter whether you're in elementary school, whether you're in high school, you'll see a teacher saying, okay, everyone, form groups of 4, we're going to work on, something in class today in a group, or we're going to form, project-based learning, we're going to be in groups of 4. The kids quickly form their groups. Inevitably, there's someone that's not part of a group, and then the teacher says, oh, so if you're not part of a group, why don't you go join Peter and Anne-Marie? And then Peter and Anne-Marie are like, oh, God, not Sophie. God, she smells. Have you seen her? Are we speaking respectfully? Not at all. But kids need to be taught, what does respect mean? What does it look like in school? What does it mean to be respectful of myself, of others? It's something that needs to be taught. So we know that in order to prevent violence and bullying in our schools and promote healthy relationships, we need to teach social emotional learning. And social emotional learning skills need to be taught. So when we have the code of conduct, we're signing a contract saying that we're going to respect these rules and these values, and yet often we're assuming that kids know what the competency is, but in fact, they need to be taught. So what is social emotional learning? So social emotional learning skills are skills that need to be taught, and they're the key ingredients for success in school, work, and life. So social emotional learning are kind of 5 or 6 key concepts that are interrelated, that work together, that need to be taught concretely. So one is recognizing and managing your emotions. So being able to recognize, how do I feel right now? I'm a little bit anxious. How do I manage those emotions? And need to be aware, oh, okay, deep breaths, I can calm down. So recognizing and managing your emotions is something you need to be taught. Developing care and concern for others is empathy. Lots of researchers are telling us that we're born with empathy. That may very well be true, but how do we foster that empathy in school? Establishing and maintaining positive relationships. You may not need calculus when you're an adult, but you're certainly going to need to know how to manage positive relationships. Setting and achieving goals. I think we see often that kids are really pretty good at setting goals, not so good at executing. So how do we learn? How do we teach them to do that? Making positive decisions, being aware of consequences, and of course, being able to handle difficult situations constructively. That's not easy. Conflict is part of being a human. So how do we teach kids to deal with conflict in a way that makes sense, that's going to be healthy? So teaching social emotional skills is really about how to become resilient and how to become a good citizen of the world. So what's really interesting is that more and more research is coming out talking about the benefits of social emotional learning. So we know that when it's taught in school that we have increased ability in social emotional skills, obvious, positive attitudes towards self and others. We have an increase in positive behavior, but here's something striking. We see that if you have a social emotional learning program embedded in your school curriculum over multiple years, you can have an 11% gain in academics. So we're talking about teaching a soft skill social and emotional learning. We're talking about emotions and interacting with others and healthy relationships, and yet it's having this very large impact on our academic skills. So we're seeing that we're able to concentrate and attend and learn when we're in this good place. So we're also seeing a decrease in behavior problems, aggressive behaviors, and emotional distress. The research is kind of endless right now, but there's a study that came out recently that if you want to predict academic success in secondary 2, the best predictor is social competency in grade 3. Not academic competency in grade 3, but social competency in grade 3 leads to a predictor of academic success in secondary 2. So these are not soft skills, these are hard skills that we need to be really teaching. So hence why we are launching this competition today, asking talented EdTech students to use their skills to develop apps, programs, videos in order to produce and teach and reinforce social emotional skills that in the context of school code of conduct to help promote, foster healthy relationships and decrease violence in our schools. There you go. Good luck.
How do we go about it? And it's simple. We decided to make it so simple for you to participate. We created a website. It's both in French and English, and it has everything in it. It has, of course, the objective. It has a registration form. And the registration is very simple. You have to be a minimum of 1 person. Below 1 person, we found it doesn't work really well. But you can be also a team of up to 5 people. Now, is it open just to educational technology students? No. It's open to, of course, a tech student are the prime target. You're the creative force about creating content that is educational. But it's open to multimedia people, even to computer science people who want to go in that context. The idea here is to make you able to create material and to create as much material. Does your team have to be only a tech student? No. You can have like somebody from media, somebody from, you select the composition of your team. If you're 1, it'll be easy. If you're 5, you can select to have like people that are stronger in media or stronger in design and things like that, and put your teams together and create what you need. Now, that's for the registration. It's fairly easy, it's straightforward. You fill in the form, you register. It's important because we're going to arrange question sessions with experts, Dr. Wilkie, Adrienne, and me, and maybe other people, to answer your questions. So everybody that registers will receive a link saying there will be an online session. It'll all be online, so if you're in Montreal, Mexico, or New York, doesn't really matter. But it will allow you to participate and ask questions of the experts. And say, can we do this? Can we do a game? Can we do a course? Can we do it? And the answer is yes to all of these. Like the format itself is your creativity we want. So let's go back now. So that's the registration system. It's online, and we've already got some registration. Actually, the only place we haven't got a registration yet is from Montreal. Hint, hint, hint. So I'm gonna go down here. On the website, you have everything. You have the contest rules. So what are the rules you need to fulfill? We have also the process and requirement to participate. What should you do? What are the elements you should consider? For example, what are the technical requirements? Since we want this to be done in all the schools across Canada and maybe aside, we are casting a very, very broad technical net. We don't want to have something like that's very, very specific. We want something that can be used like on tablets, on computers. So for those who are techie, probably it means like HTML5 or something like that. But so all of the technical requirements are there. All the copyright guidelines, because if you're going to use material, it's important to know the copyright guidelines. All the judging criteria, on which criteria will we judge? It's all written there blatantly. The first one must be engaging for the age group targeted. And since we're targeting K-12 students, so we're talking about something that cannot be too academic. So all of this now, of course, for those who are more educational technologists, me and Dr. Wilkie decided to put together guidance material. All the research material you need to do this is already on the website. And we were really lucky to have like a group like PrevNet that helped us, Dr. Wilkie, PrevNet, and all these went together to make sure that we had adequate material for a designer to develop a course, an activity, a game, whatever you feel is adequate to teach this material. And the material goes pretty far. If you look at the guidance material, it gives you the situation and context, gives you a couple of interviews, it gives you the theoretical foundation. Dr. Wilkie was talking about the social emotional learning approach. If you want to know more about this approach, go to the website. There's actually a very good section on it with links, with Castle, the Castle group that created this, links to that. It allows you to really get the background information you need to start. So, and if you continue, we've put like all about the main objectives and the code of conducts, videos explain them. So there's quite a bit of material there. And of course, before you get scared, we're not asking you to put all this material in there, because the contest is to create a 10 to 20 minutes material. So game, video, or something like that. We're talking about something fairly small. So it's more to inspire you and to guide you. You're wondering, what does this behavior mean? The material is there. You want to focus on specific people that might be bullied versus others. I had an email recently about somebody who's blind and said, could I talk about the bullying of the disabled? Of course you can. So it's not limited. You don't have to put everything in. But it's all the material you'll probably need to do the contest. So that's the idea. So we put together a website which allows you to register. By registering, you'll get access to the information session with the subject matter expert you'll need to do the contest. It gives you guidance material and the technical requirements you'll need to put the foundation. The only thing it lacks is your knowledge and creativity. How do I make young kids have the right behavior? That's your challenge. So that's a little bit about the website. So we'll go.
Well, just a little more informally than before, I want to again thank Concordia University and Claude Martel here for being so visionary, so open. Concordia is an amazing place, and it is all about innovation and learning. And I think here we take an important social problem, something that affects our kids. And it affects our kids, it affects our future. It also affects the family, and it affects our communities. And we're giving a unique way of approaching and improving the situation. So the amazing students some of whom I've met in educational technology here at Concordia, and others who have graduated or who are in related domains will really be very welcome, and hopefully will be inspired and will feel really good by creating these tools, these materials that will be so socially beneficial. So thank you very much again, Claude, and thank you, Concordia, and thank you for whoever was watching, those here today. And we really look forward to getting those materials and to making a difference for improving our society and making it more peaceful. So thank you.
So take up the challenge. Use your talents for a good cause. The Great Educational Technology Challenge.
Absolutely.
Questions?